Hi, welcome to Agastya Whiteboard Docker Sessions, Part 5. In this session, we are more elaborating on CMD and entry point usages in the Docker file. The lifecycle of a container is nothing but the lifecycle of a process. So containers are designed to run the processes in an isolated way so that each and every process runs in its own isolated environment. When we're talking about a process, nothing but we are talking about a container. So when we're talking about a process, so the process nothing but a program which is under execution. Regarding to a program, so when the program is started, then that is called a process. Means the starting point of the program is specified in Docker file using two special instructions. One is CMD, another one is entry point. Let's discuss more on CMD. When you run a container, you do like this: Docker container to the base command and the subcommand, and use run followed by the image name. So when we specify like that, it is going to start a process. Means it need to start a process, need to be a starting point, need to be specified for the program. When you don't specify, when you're running a container, the starting point, then it picks the starting point from the Docker file, which is specified using the CMD. Means CMD instruction allow you to set the default command. What does it mean? When you're running a container, if you don't specify any command, means any command means as a starting instruction, by default it picks from the Docker file which is specified by using instruction called CMD. And if we, on the other hand, if we specify like that, if Docker container, and if we specify run and image name, if we specify the command, this command takes priority over the one which is specified in the Docker file. Means if we specify here, then which is specified in the Docker file automatically ignored. If we don't specify here, then automatically which is specified in the Docker file is going to be executed. So the Docker file, if the Docker file container runs with a command, the default command which is specified in the Docker file will be ignored. The last one, if we specify multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file like CMD1, CMD2, CMD3, so on, CMDN, all the CMDs are ignored. Only the CMDN, the last CMD, is going to be executed. And again, as we discussed, the two forms, shell and exe form. Exe form is preferred, but is also a choice of the one who is writing the Docker file. In the exe form, CMD executable followed by comma and parameters, parameter 1, 2, 3, and each and every parameter is separated by using comma, and also executable is also separated by a comma. You can see each one double quotes, executable double quotes and comma, and parameter 1 in the form of double quotes, comma, parameter 2, so on. The syntax for specifying a CMD or entry point in the Docker file, you can use two syntaxes, either you can use in exec form or in the shell form. In the exec form, it takes this syntax: instruction in this brackets, you can see executable here followed by comma and parameters. Or you can use the shell form, which is instruction followed by the commands. Do some practice here. So I'm writing a simple Docker file by using the base image Ubuntu and run, just updates, and This is the default command I specified as echo hello world. Open your favorite editor, any editor, or just Notepad or Notepad++. Just write that commands from base image run followed by the default command. Save this file. You can in our folder. So you have to use the extension, like you have to specify like this. If we specify different file name, I will take you through that one later. For now, you can save this as a Docker file. Now, once you have saving the Docker file, you have to open the Docker documents. How to build an image from a Docker file. This is the command. Docker is the base command, image build, and we are going to with the options. And in these options, there are many options here. If you are not following that, you have to specify using this location name of the Docker file. If we specify other than this Docker file, then next one we are going to use option called T to tag. So opening here, then we are going to prepare Docker image subcommand build. Then here we are going to use -t, so the repository :sample hello all, and if we specify dot, automatically it picks from that location. If you see here, my directory structure, the Docker file is here. So then we are going to specify Docker image build -t. The repository is mine is 123. Then you can specify hello world, and you can specify the dot. It's going to build the Docker file. Now we are going to run Docker container and run, followed by this is the image we just now built. It's going to print hello world. So if we go here, then the command we specified is cmd echo hello world. Now during the running the container, we don't specify the command. Means it picks the command as a default command specified in the Docker file. If we specify the command during running a container, then like echo hello from Docker world. If we run here, then see here, this is the command which is specified here is taken the priority. Means the command specified in the Docker file is ignored, and the command specified during the container running is taken priority. So this is what we discussed in our theory sessions. If we specify the command during running a container, then which is specified in the Docker file is automatically ignored. Let's discuss what is an entry point. Entry point and the CMD, the purpose is same, but there is a difference in between entry point and CMD. As we discussed already, the CMD is used to specify the entry point, starting instruction of the process. The same way, the entry point is also used to specify the starting point. Unlike CMD, the entry point cannot be ignored during the container run. When we specifying command during, if we specify Docker container run, and if we specify command, this command is automatically takes precedence Means whatever the command we specified in Docker file is going to be ignored, and this command is going to be executed. But like for entry point is not that case. The entry point is not going to be ignored until unless if you want to ignore, there is a special way by using an option called entry point. We can ignore the entry point. And the entry point also has two forms. One is the exe form and the other one is the shell form. Exe form is preferred. Entry point, executable, comma, parameter 1, parameter 2, like parameter n. Otherwise, we can use the shell form, entry point, command, parameter 1 and parameter 2. Let's elaborate more on usage of CMD and entry point. Now, if you have a Docker file 1 and Docker file 2, and Docker file 3. So we are going to discuss three scenarios. The base image from Ubuntu latest, and we are going to use run apt get update, and now we are using CMD instruction in the shell form. We have to give the space here. Echo is executable, and we are using hello. In this case, when we are preparing a container, when you run that container, if we, for example, our container name is D1. So when you run that container, Docker container run D1, we are not specifying any commands. So this is the default command which is going to be executed. It prints hello. In the case of if we want to print hello world, we have to specify the command echo hello world. If we specify that command during the runtime, automatically the Docker file CMD is ignored. Then it is going to print hello world. Means how the CMD works. If we specify the command during the runtime, it automatically ignored. If we don't specify any command, then which is specified in the Docker file is going to be executed. If we specify multiple CMD commands like Docker echo hello, another CMD echo hello world, then the first one is going to be ignored and the second one is going to be executed. So this is the CMD. On the other hand, in the case of Docker file 2, if we use the same base image from Ubuntu latest, and just run apt get update -y, and we specify entry as in a exe form echo, and here we specify hello. Whenever we prepare image D2, so this is our entry point echo hello. When we run this container D2 Docker container run D2, if we specify, if we just run like this, it is going to print hello, because this is going to act as a default command. If you want to print hello world, if we specify just D2 of world, whatever the instruction command we specified here, It's not going to be replacing this one. It's going to, this is considered as a parameter. This parameter is going to append to the hello. It's going to print hello world. Let's go and do the practical example of this. Then after that we're going to discuss option Docker 3. Now we have a Docker file, base image Ubuntu latest, run apt get update fny. Now instead of cmd we specified entry point. Now build the image by using the Docker file specified Docker image build. We are going to tag it. So the repository colon, I'm going to use some D2 or I2, the image name, and a dot. Now image is built. If I run this one, Docker container run, I2, it's going to print hello. Now if I want to print hello world, now whatever the parameter is specifying, it is going to be appending to this one. So this entry point is not ignored. So this is considered as parameter 1. So whatever we are passing the another one, it is going to be appended here. So this is what the entry point. In the case of command, if we specify like that, if we use this one as cmd, this is completely ignored. If we specify this as cmd here, now if we go and prepare the image, now the image is this time is going to be I3. Now done. Now if we run this container in I3 without any parameter, it's going to print hello. Now if we specify the world, this is going to be replacing, this command is going to replace, and it's going to give an error. See here, executable, world executable file not found. So this is the difference. The entry point is not going to be ignored until unless you use the option of entry point, but the command cmd is going to be ignored. The rules, come to conclusion, the rules, the entry point and cmd, these are used when you want to build a executable Docker file. That means they serve as a starting points. And a Docker file should specify at least one cmd and entry point. Entry point should be defined when using container as an executable. See, cmd should be always way to define the default arguments for an entry point command. And the cmd can be overridden when running a container with the alternative commands. So in nutshell, entry point is specify executables, and the cmd you have to specify the parameters. So that if you want to change the parameters during the container run, if you specify the parameters, it is going to be overridden. All the best and see you guys in the upcoming session.